Joining us now on the hotline, as he does every Wednesday when he's available, is State Senator Roger Victory, Republican from Hudsonville, who represents us here in Ottawa County. Good morning. How are we doing today?
We are doing good. Hopefully everyone out there is having a good day and made the drive from Lansing today. Actually, we were talking before on the air, a little dicey of a drive. There were some black ice formations, but did eventually make it to Lansing, so good to be in town here.
Well, glad to have you on the air. We appreciate you coming on as always, and you guys are back in Lansing again after your Christmas break. What are the things that are most important this week for you?
Well, we got a couple, we do have some bills that are going to be taken up in the Senate today. One actually has been kind of in the theme of things I've been working on, housing affordability, housing accessibility. So there is a bill that's about a first-time home buyers, so it's for first-time home buyers, savings account. So it's can set up a tax-free account for avoiding the state income tax on it. So I think this is something that's part of the whole formula that we can help those first-time home buyers, especially in West Michigan with a higher cost of housing, things that we can do at the state level. So I'll be voting yes on that provision and moving that forward. And there's another House bill coming up that's kind of one of those unique things you think why we have to pass legislation on it, but there must have been a situation. But for public high school students or students to be able to perform at military funerals, such as playing a tax. So at this and given excused absence, you would think that'd be common sense, but for some odd reason, that must have some issues with it. So making sure that when we're honoring those who served our country, that we can have our young people at the high school or junior high level, wherever means, be able to give honor to them. So those are two things that we'll be taking up on the Senate floor today.
I'm looking at bridgemi.com. They tell you, one of the articles says, Michigan awaits new era of economic development as $1 billion fund takes shape. It says, soon the applications will be ready and business or property owners can start to apply for the money. Where is that at right now, and what are some of the, things that you're looking for with that $1 billion fund?
Yeah, so the fund is informed. We had a lot of talk about our mobility, battery plants, some things the catalyst was behind when Ford announced that $12 billion or plus investment was going to be done outside the state of Michigan in the Kentucky area and Tennessee area. So this is so I would be looking at the auto industry, mobility area, but also things even like in West Michigan, we have pretty robust value-added ag processing. There's some things that we are in dire needs of infrastructure. I'm not going to get into specifics, but even in Ottawa County, I can list 3 major expansions that could be occurring, and they're somewhat restricted by our current infrastructure capacity. And then there's one that I can speak of that they left the state for the new expansion, almost $1 billion expansion. I'll repeat that, $1 billion, and that was in Allendale for a Leprino cheese plant expansion. Leprino already have a very large footprint of a processing facility in the Allendale community, but because of some infrastructure needs and things did not connect up quite right, and my understanding was not that large amount of money, that the whole expansion, just under $1 billion, went to the state of Texas. So those are things that I'm passionate to make sure that we do not lose for the state of Michigan. We have our manufacturing, mobility, auto industry, but also our other areas such as agricultural processing that we see right here in Ottawa County.
State Senator Roger Victory joining us right now. I know you're big into power and everything else. I saw where they had a small fire at the nuclear power plant south of South Haven. And I'm just curious what kind of regulatory stuff goes on. You know, a lot of stuff seemingly gets swept under the rug when things like this happen, like they act like it's no big deal. But man, if there's something going wrong with the nuclear power plant, I mean, you're talking the whole state's going to get affected by that.
Yeah, and it's also the location of the plants too. It's right by one of our most precious resources, our Great Lakes. So a lot that try to do the heavy regulation on those power plants. And then there's some aspects of the state, some more of a secondary thing. But the primary component of that is at the federal level. But also keeping in mind that these power plants are part of our grid, making sure that they're providing power that we need. As we talk about economic development, that was one of the key reasons that one of the entities leaving the state because the security, economic cost power, especially in doing battery plants, so you consume a fair amount of power. So all this fits into the equation, making sure that we got a safe, secure, and sustainable power grid going into the future. And it takes a balanced approach to it, and you can't invest all into one entity. I think a diverse source of power that can be done at an economical level is key to our success.
I was reading something last night in regards to, I was in a grocery store. I don't normally go grocery shopping, and I happened to go into the store. There's a lot of bare shelves out there, and I was looking. They were saying that, like in Iowa, they're having problems with meat inspectors getting COVID. They're having to ship people in there. They're having problems at distribution centers. And it's kind of like the perfect storm here, almost like when everything got shut down back in March of 2020 with groceries on the shelves right now. What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, I see it firsthand. I know there's some product lines that we were producing at our farm, and some of the bigger chains that they market our product, and that product line is not on the shelf because at this point of the year they would have to secure it from Florida or California, and it just is not on the shelf. I've never saw that before, and that's why I think keeping in mind if we go more locally, we can produce it, the more secure and sustainable those supply chains are. And that's especially when we talk about our meat processing, our protein processing facility. I'm pretty excited to see right in Hudsonville a major new expansion going on to a beef value-added beef processing facility there. And when set up, and that takes up a lot of the retired dairy cattle head to that processing plant. And I'm just glad to see that type of investment is being done right here in West Michigan and going forward. And as you indicated, I think we need to do more of that in the state of Michigan, and the inspection process. So you lose. There's only a few inspectors at the plant. If there's an inspector that's not there and a backup person can't come in, that plant does not operate because it can only operate under the guidance of the USDA inspector, and it has to be physically on presence for that to occur.
State Senator Roger Victory, who owns Victory Farms down in Hudsonville, joining us right now. It's that time of year again, I would imagine, where farmers are buying all the fertilizer and all that stuff and, getting the plans ready for, getting out in the fields probably in early May or late April or whatever. How is that looking? Because I'd heard their fertilizer prices were going through the roof around the world right now.
You heard correctly. It is. In fact, we had a couple met with my accountant earlier this week and saying, where do we go here? We'll go from here because there might be some things that we just cannot continue on in our operation because the margins are going to be too tight. And even though the price of the product might be up a little bit, input costs between the labor, fertilizer, packing material, boxes, those things are going to be escalating. So if any thin line margin items, you'll see people discontinuing that and thus putting even more additional pressures on the availability and on the final price of the product. So I do see fairly aggressive inflationary pressures being put in the agricultural sector. Overall, commodity prices were up. As farmers, good number, not saying all had a pretty good year, but going this year with the huge input cost, it's going to be the bottom line is going to be a lot tougher for the majority of the producers.
Before we let you go, you talked about what you're doing in Lansing. What's the number one thing for Ottawa County residents that you want to work on or is on your mind as you go into 2022 here?
I think one of the key items is as we're looking at some of these federal dollars coming in, how can these federal dollars be best utilized in our community, and specifically is it some infrastructure needs or those areas, making sure that we set our county and our region up in a better place for the next 10 years. And so there's a lot of decisions being made, and it's not just some of these dollars, but also some policy too. So getting it right because, it's going to be, there's going to be some interesting times in the next 10 years, and we want to make sure our area of Ottawa County is there to continue to do what's been doing because it's been the fastest growing region in the state of Michigan, and that means we've been doing it right, so let's continue on that pathway. As
always, before I let you go, is there anything I did not ask you want to get out there, Senator?
Well, I think get a chance to enjoy some of the winter amenities. We had the winter came to a little start, but so some of our ski lodges, I know in Grand Haven we got some great aspects there for the local folks to enjoy. just get out there, enjoy that, and make it happen. And because spring will be here before we know it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, hey, have a great week. We always appreciate you coming on. Okay.
You have a good day.
You too.
Be safe and stay warm.
Thank you very much. State Senator Roger Victory, Republican from Hudsonville, who represents us here